start at the beginning. How did you get where you are? What are the prerequisite experiences, qualifications, and the networks that one has to pursue, or even accidentally venture into, to get to rise to the level of your career that you've risen to?
I think accidentally venture into is the best way to possibly put it. I was interested in publishing throughout college. I knew that was kind of the career choice that I wanted to go after. And while I was in college, I did a number of internships with MIT Press, with an independent editing company, kind of just getting a taste for what it actually would be in publishing and what department I wanted to work at. But when I graduated, I found it really hard to get my foot in the door of actually connecting with a big publisher and getting a job. I felt like I sent out a million applications everywhere and just never heard back anything. I would be excited when I got even a rejection email in response. And so finally, I found an internship with a boutique publicity firm that had been started by two women that used to be in the publicity department of HarperCollins. And as you know, I out of college wanted to join a big publisher right away, but this was the place that, got back to me. And so it actually ended up being a really great experience. And I got to learn a lot because this boutique publicity firm, they only the only thing they work on is publicity. It's the tiniest piece of the pie. So you really get to see everything from start to finish of what the publicity of a campaign is going to look like. And so while I was there, I ended up having lunch with one of their former interns who now worked at Macmillan. And she had heard of a job at Macmillan with Flatiron Books and ended up referring me for that position. And that's how I got to Macmillan and actually started my career in big publishing.
Wow, that's so great. Could you describe some other earlier experiences or models that continue to influence like how you do your job? I mean, being in a boutique place focused exclusively on publicity must have been a real just a real education.
Yeah, I learned a lot there, especially I think there's no better place to learn about author relations, especially because, with a publisher, the author gets assigned a publicist usually. It's very rare that they choose who they're working with, as opposed to working with a boutique publicity firm, the author is hiring them to do the publicity for their book. So it's very specific. They know exactly what they expect and who they're working with. So it creates a different dynamic between author and publicist for sure because it's so direct. And I think I learned a lot about how to interact with authors and how to manage expectations. For example, while I was at that publicity firm, there was an author who we delicately would refer to as high touch, needs a lot of attention, a lot of care. And it was great to be able to learn how, these women would handle someone like that. So in that situation, they were like, look, we know you have a lot of questions coming up. Let's set up a weekly call. So every time, Wednesday at this time, we're going to answer all of your questions at once. And doing things like that to kind of get out of having five calls from an author every day and just kind of getting in the way of work. So yeah, I learned definitely a lot being at that, kind of company.
And so, what is it that you love about being a publicist? What is it about that role in particular that keeps you going, even through the ups and downs of the literary market?
I think there is no one who works in publishing that doesn't love books. Like that is why we're all here. And it does create a really nice environment that everyone is really passionate about what they do and actually cares. The product and a book is a product that I feel like was something that I had to learn, but the product that we're all working together and trying to sell is actually something we're really passionate about. I know for me, one of the reasons that I ended up going the publicity route, originally I thought I wanted to be an editor, but one of the reasons I ended up going the publicity route was that I really loved being able to watch readers connect with authors directly, not just at book events, but also, through interviews or reviews. And when I first started, working in publishing and would try to explain to people what I do, I would say, when you read a good book and you want to talk about it to your friends, that's my job. I read a good book and I get to just go out and try to get other people interested in it as well. So that's really what keeps me motivated and going. And I will say it's definitely in flux, but I feel like for the 10 plus years I've been working in publishing, people have always asked me, oh, do people still read books? And, we're still here. We still do. So,
Could you talk a little bit about gaining the kinds of skill sets? I mean, you've talked about kind of author relations so far, but what other kind of skill sets are there that may be unique to publicity, or also could possibly be a skill set that travels? What are the tools that you work with in order to do your job?
yeah, I mean, the one I was just referencing, pitching. So, like trying to get other people interested in the books. I feel like that is a big skill set that I've learned over the years, how to, write a pitch email to media, but also how to target my pitches. So, when I'm trying to, sell a book to someone, I'm trying to make it as personal as possible. And I do find that that's a skill that, if I ever did leave publishing, I still would be able to use in other areas. Of course, like administration skills, definitely got a lot of those my first couple of years in publishing as intern and assistant for a long time. But also in my the early part of my career when I was going on really large book tours, working events, I gained so many skills there just from, being with the authors while they were traveling. I feel like I could go run a travel agency at this point. But also being with them at an event, making sure everything runs smoothly. And that's definitely like invaluable to me at this point.
If you could talk to us a little bit about what kinds of books you most enjoy, kind of like doing publicity for. Is there a genre per se, or which will lead into kind of another question that we have about the difference, if there is one, between upmarket fiction and literary fiction.
Yeah, so I definitely personally I love commercial fiction, so upmarket exactly like you're talking about. And mystery horror novels. I'm definitely a huge Stephen King fan. So those are personally what I love to read, and I think the a mystery is when I'm reading the fastest. Not necessarily that's always a good thing, but that's usually what I can't put down. So I love reading books like that, whether it's for work or for fun. But it is really different when I'm working on, mystery thriller as opposed to a literary fiction title. Not only just in the media outlets that I'm reaching out to, but also how I'm pitching the book. I'm not going to go and compare a crime novel to Gillian Flynn's Gone Girl because no one will open that email. But it's a different process when I'm pitching those outlets and how I want to work with them and kind of what works for the different audiences. A literary fiction audience is going to really value a very thoughtful review in Poets and Writers. Whereas if I'm trying to, sell an Emily Henry Beach read, I don't necessarily think they're going to care about that review or that's where they're looking for it. I think they'd value a lot more to see Emily Henry on the Today Show talking about the book or books that she loves.